Okay, good morning, everybody. Nothing like a last minute call out to the bush, but I'm back. Thanks to Russell for yesterday's show. I'm sure those of you that watched yesterday's afternoon show had a good time. Seems like there were lots of things going on, as I'm sure will be the case this morning. Welcome to everyone on Facebook, on YouTube, and the Africam Premium website. It's always great to be with you folks for the morning shows and afternoon shows. Always a time of intrigue. Never quite know what we're going to see. I decided just to quickly start off at Naledi, here at Naledi Dam. There's been quite a bit of activity there, especially with regards to leopards. Also want to just say hi to Cal. He's watching the show. How you doing, Cal? Looks like the pans have been pretty active. Actually got a highlight clip, which I'll show you a little later. Folks, talking about highlight clips and all the different things that have been going on. We haven't seen leopards for a while, so I thought I'd actually start off the show, mix it up a little bit, with a clip from Hinkora, where it looks like a relatively shy female leopard arrived in the late evening for a drink, but also just watch how she moves. She's quite interested in the environment. She smells quite a bit. Just found it quite a fascinating clip. Apart from the fact that leopards are really quite unusual to see. They're really secretive as individuals, both male and female. So to be a camera on a stick or a fly on a wall, this is just an unbelievable privilege. Just look at the body language. And let's listen to the sounds as well. See, she's having a good smell around, a good listen. It's almost as though it hasn't been at this waterhole before, or maybe hasn't been for a while. You see that really clearly smelling the ground, checking, essentially having a chemical communication download. Which other animals have been there, other leopards, other lions, other predators. Beautiful specimen though. Just unbelievable condition. See how she's slinking along, shoulder blades are high, head down low, always taking cover. A little twitch in the tail for us as observers, watching body language and the subtleties are often the first things, and sometimes, or most likely the only way we can try and understand the way these animals think. But that little twitch in the tail is really always an indicator for me what she's doing, what they're thinking, and in this case it's intrigue. She's on edge. There's a bit of excitement, that extra little twitch. If you see this leopard sees a impala in the long grass, it will push its ears forward and that little tail will start twitching like crazy. When they get nervous, that tail tucks right underneath their back legs. It definitely gives away, or the best chance of trying to understand and anticipate the animal's thought process. You see, she's smelling again, keeping low to the ground. Really fascinating to be sitting here completely unbeknown to the animal, and therefore its absolutely natural behavior completely undisturbed, which is probably the most unique thing about Africa. That tail pushing up, she's seen something in the water, or maybe thinks she's seen something. Almost playful. I wonder if this is the same leopard that was chasing the two Egyptian geese the other day, I think 2 weeks ago. It's also this sort of approach to life that makes them a really successful survivor. They don't just go rushing into things. They seem to calculate their environment really well. It's one of the reasons why you find leopards all over the place, all the way from the southern parts of the Cape, around some homesteads even, and way up north. You find them in forests and deserts, on islands. They truly are quite an incredible survivor. Just watch that tail. Seems to be really intrigued with something in the water. Maybe it's just frogs or some of the terrapins popping their heads up, but very aware of any movement. And essentially that offers up the door to opportunity. Leopards will hunt anything from smallish buffalo. I saw a couple of photographs and an image the other day of a leopard carrying a newborn rhino calf up a tree. Now, rhinos are born at roughly 100 kgs. So, incredible strength to carry that up a tree. I've actually seen a young giraffe up in a tree. I've also seen leopards eating. Just having a look what it's doing there now. I wish I could see what it's interested in the water. Maybe it's its own shadow. Finally has a drink. Yeah, I've also seen leopards eating small things like lizards and geckos, birds. They've even been known to take fish out of dried ponds. And it's all to do with taking each opportunity that presents itself. This animal looks on the youngish side, maybe 2 years or so, just coming into adulthood. You can see its fur on its rump is not quite crisp. There's a bit of long hair, baby hair if you like. So I'd say this animal's about 2.5 years of age. Beautiful, aware eyes. Just a quick drink. You'll shortly see how the camera turns from daylight vision to night vision. So this was late afternoon. This leopard probably spent the heat of the day in that drainage line, that tree line in the background there, keeping cool. And now starting to move. There we go. You see how it changes into night vision, stealth mode. Leopards do move and hunt and cover ground in the daylight hours, usually in the winter months. Otherwise, they're well suited to nocturnal conditions, really good night vision. It's slinking right down low. Maybe those Egyptian geese are on the menu. Just look at that view. Perfect. Huh. Ah, yeah, there's the Egyptian geese. I think those geese need to watch out. One day she's going to catch them. All right, folks. Quite interesting to see that behavior. Not something one sees every day, but it is something one should always look out for. It's one of those sightings that keep me coming back just in case something happens. Folks, we're back on the live cams. Let's take a look around, see what's happening. We're here at Olifants. There's been some good hippo activity as well as crocodile activity over the last couple of days. There's another hippo, I think, on the right-hand side of the screen. Let's spend a bit of time here at Olifants, have a look around. It's always such a beautiful space to spend some time at. It's always wonderful to see how many people view the show and where you're viewing from. I know a lot of you are sending in messages with regards to being in cold environments. Well, that was it's the sound of the hippo. Well, I hope you're wrapped up warmly with a cup of hot something. Good place to be in front of Africam. I don't want to go on too much. The fact that it's pretty warm in all of the areas down here in the south. We'll leave that for another conversation. But it is always great to share this time with everyone around the globe. It's a special environment, this. And more as we move on, the concept of having these open spaces, these wild environments is really quite fortunate and quite a blessing in many ways. Let's hope it stays like that. Always nice and peaceful to watch the river flow. Hippos calling in the background. Looks like there's a bit of cloud cover. Really is quite nice to see it so lush and green. All this rain that falls now is gonna carry all the animals through the winter months. I've been watching Namibia quite closely. There's some incredible rainfalls that's not too far north from the northern part of South Africa. They've also been having floods, some rivers that haven't flowed in many years of flowing. Okay, apart from the hippos, nobody else showing themselves along the river. Let's come across to Tembi, where the usual suspects are. Big, beautiful elephant bull on the left there. Look at the size of his tusks. In a way, it's what one comes to expect from Tembi elephants. It's certainly not common elsewhere. Always so peaceful. Doesn't really matter where you watch the elephants. They often seem to have the same demeanor unless there's some issue going on between males or family disputes, but generally speaking, they're always so relaxed, drinking or throwing sand on themselves. Never really seems to be a big panic or a rush in their lives. I guess when you're 6.5 tons, got nothing to worry about, life must be pretty easy. I just want to see if the camera might pan around a bit, see if there's anything else around the waterhole. Sounds like an alarm call. Yeah, sounds like the alarm call of an inyala. Very similar to a dog's bark. Maybe the lions are around. They have been spending a lot of time here. There's a wildebeest having a good look around, maybe in response to the alarm call. Just waiting for the camera to zoom out and keep panning around. There's a yellow bull. Another elephant coming down. Need to see if we can zoom out further, get a wider picture. You'll appreciate that there's a bit of a delay with cameras being out there and we being where we are. We'll be a little patient. The Daniela has stopped calling. See if it zooms back. Wildebeest being chased by the elephant. This is really like tracking it on foot. You never quite know. There's always signs and either the track on the ground or the audio of an alarm call. The suspense. That wildebeest is, for me at the moment, the only indicator that wildebeest keeps looking in the direction of the camera or those two elephants on the left. We've often seen how the lions move off in that direction. So it's quite likely that they're on the woodland's edge. Maybe they're picking up the scent on the wind, but there was definitely an alarm. We've heard that quite a bit. It's not the first time we've heard that. So the kudus, the impalas, and nyalas all have some form of alarm system. And essentially that alarm is letting the predator know that their presence has been detected. Essentially the element of surprise is gone and they shouldn't try any hunting. Of course, the individual that's alarming at the predator is automatically letting everyone in an area know that there's something going on. If you see this wildebeest is quite aware, you see it's now nodding its head, snorting a little bit. It's not 100% sure. You can see he's a little bit on edge. Beautiful big wildebeest bull, by the way. Blue wildebeest or brindled gnu. Let's just stick around for a bit and see what happens. Let's see if I can get the camera to zoom out just a bit, get a broader picture. Oh, feisty. A very good morning to those of you that have just joined the show. Just to give you an update here, we heard some Inyala's alarm calling. And typically they'd alarm call at predators. They're usually quite an accurate indicator. This wildebeest bull, I think, is doing kind of what we're doing, is trying to pinpoint where that alarm call came from, trying to listen. It's also trying to pick up scent on the wind. Certainly giving it a good look around, as are we. With any luck, for us anyway, the lions pop out the woodland. Not so lucky for the wildebeest. So we're just hanging about for a little while. Just want to see if any of the lions do come down for a drink. There's a pride of lions that has been spotted at the waterhole over the last couple of days. And there's also two big, beautiful males with a pride. I don't know if anyone's watched that over the last couple of days, but don't often see big males. But there were two with the pride, I think 2 nights ago. The male lions spend a lot of their time covering a lot more ground than the prides. The prides have smaller territories and they stick to them, whereas male lions, especially groups of 2 or sometimes 3, the biggest coalition I've seen is 6. They move between various territories as long as they dominate over the prides. They can have huge areas, but therefore they cover more ground and spend less time in one specific area, which is why one sees mostly the lionesses and the cubs or the prides in one area. So if anyone is keen to try and see them, I would suggest keeping an eye out here in the evening hours. in particular. Maybe they're still around. Okay, so the alarm calls have stopped. The wildebeest seems to be relaxing just a little bit. That's okay. We'll keep an eye on the camera as we have action cam just to see if anything changes there. I'd like to go to some more of the highlights. I'd like to go to in Korapan, Naledi, where there was another really special sighting of a female leopard and her sub-adult cub. It looks like mum's closest to the screen and the youngsters at the back. Just listen to them drinking. Nadia, I really like your comment. I'm there with my head. I tell you what, I was thinking the same thing. When you can hear them drinking and you can hear the birds, woodland kingfishers and the spurfowls calling in the background, it really does feel like we're right there with them at the waterhole. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm sure many feel the same. It really is a privilege. I keep saying it, but here we're watching an incredible natural scene, one you don't get to see very often at all. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen two leopards come to the waterhole in the last year. So a bonus privilege. Just look at that picture. Absolutely perfect. You can hear the birds, the little birds calling in the background. They'll be most likely alarming at the leopards. Little cisticulars, cameropteras, the little insectivorous birds in the thickets complaining. Leopard doesn't mind though. What an incredible sighting. So when you see two leopards together, they're either mum with its offspring or male and female, a breeding pair, but otherwise they are solitary. Every now and then you have some unusual scenarios where adults are walking together. Can happen. And it won't be long before the mother leaves this cub. Typically it's the mother that initiates that individual lifestyle. She disappears, and she would disappear for 2 or 3 days, 4 days at a time, come back into the area. If she finds the cub there again, they move together, but slowly but surely they drift apart as individuals. If it's a female leopard, if the cub is female, it'll stick around as a neighbor, but the male cubs get pushed out quite far. And the idea of that is that they don't inbreed. But for now, these two look like a nice, happy pair. I'd like to just go through one more highlight as we were waiting for line around Tembe. This next clip is from Tembe. Just getting it lined up here. And it is to do with this lioness who's in the shadow of the tree, just sitting motionless, waiting. It has its eye on something, and we'll see what it is shortly. But again, just following on from that leopard body language, just look at that body language. The head drops down, tries to change your angle a little bit, almost rolling over, doesn't want to move too much. You can just see in the foreground, there's an Inyala coming down for a drink. And what's interesting is this Inyala hasn't realized that just across the water could be a very sudden end. That lioness is keeping absolutely dead still. All the prey species, the antelope, have their eyes on either side of the head, and they're very aware of movement rather than 3D vision. That's why those Inyalas haven't actually seen that lioness on the other side there in the shade. They're more worried about potential danger in the water. That lioness won't necessarily, I mean, she probably could try and jump or swim across the water, but that chance wouldn't be so good. So that's why the lioness isn't just going for them. Also, the angle we're watching at, that's quite a wide section of water there. So if that lioness moves, those Nyala will spot her, dash away, and probably give alarm. But I thought that was just quite an interesting clip of body language going on, what we saw with that leopard. That visual communication for us definitely helps, but within a pride or a mother with cubs, it's really important, those subtle movements of the ears, the head, the tail. It's really important for the pride members to respond quickly. Folks, that has brought us to the end of the show. That came pretty quickly. There's no need to go away. Keep watching the cameras. Keep looking at TembiCam. As usual, I'd like to finish off the show with a beautiful snapshot that was taken by Peggy. Looks like a pastel drawing. Beautiful reflections of the clouds above. This was taken at Nkoropan, where we saw that leopard right in the beginning. Again, I can only encourage you all to keep watching the cameras. Go across to the Africam website and keep watching. Thanks so much for your questions, your involvement on the show. It's always nice to see who's watching, what you guys are feeling. Keep it up. And I look forward to catching up with you tomorrow on the afternoon show in the Hide. Have a great day further, folks, and catch up with you tomorrow.